What's up guys? Welcome to New York Muscle Radio's Muscle Week. This week we're going to give you 5 videos and explain the different elements of muscle building. As you guys know, muscle building is not as easy as it sounds. A lot of people think that they just go to the gym and lift weights and they're going to grow. We're going to break down today in today's video why it's hard to gain muscle.
Yeah, muscle gaining is definitely the hardest part about fitness in general. You know, it's easy to lose weight, cut calories, move more. You're going to lose body fat, you're going to lose weight. Training, on the other hand, you can't just simply go in the gym, train hard, and continuously make progress. In the beginning, that works. And that actually creates a lot of confusion for people because in the beginning, they think if that's what works, that'll work forever. And anybody who's been in the gym for years knows after the first year or so, that just doesn't cut it. And you have to get more progressive with your training, and you have to get a little more complicated with it.
So there's a couple of elements that we're going to talk about in this video to explain why it's so hard to gain muscle. So the first element is improper training. A lot of people have no idea how to train. You know, think about it. The average person, I'm sure you're guilty of this too. I know I was, and I'm sure he was. Just think, okay, if I eat a good diet and I go into the gym and I just put weight on the bar, I'm gonna grow. And yes, in the beginning when you first start working out, that may happen, but eventually you'll hit a sticking point, and that's what happened to me. It wasn't until I learned how to progress with my weights, how to use important training techniques, that was when I ultimately got the best results ever.
Yeah, the first thing I'd say people really need to pay attention to after they've been in the gym in a year or so training hard is they really have to pay attention to where their strength level is and make sure the weights are getting heavier, they're doing more reps, they're doing more weight on the bar, and they are training progressively. There has to be a method to your training. Just going in and training hard is going to only give you so much progress.
Yeah, some people just go to the gym and just think that they have to train to failure every time. Oh, I got to go in the gym and I just got to kill myself and annihilate certain muscles. And that's not going to work, especially for a natural. There's a lot of elements to training that you need to keep in mind, like rep tempo, how fast you're moving the weight, the time under tension. You have, again, volume. Volume is the main trigger for growth. We need to force muscle on your body, and if you're not forcing it on with volume over time, you're never going to grow. Again, if you're just going into the gym and training to failure and having your training partner spotting you and giving you 3-4 extra reps, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, and the confusion a lot of people have is they hear that volume is the main driver for hypertrophy, and yes, that's true. But then again, you also have to know how to manage fatigue, how to manage the amount of work you're doing, because you can't just simply go in the gym, do 100 sets and then leave and think that that's going to be more progress than doing 3 sets, you know? There's always a management of fatigue, doing the proper amount of volume mixed with the proper amount of recovery.
Element number 2 is nutrition. A lot of people have no idea how to eat. You know, you're trying to gain muscle and you think just by eating clean you're going to gain size. That's not going to happen. Again, I went through that same mistake. You know, I had no idea how many calories I was taking, how many grams of protein. So you got to make sure that you're eating properly and enough in order to gain muscle. Again, just because you're eating healthy and going to the gym doesn't mean that you're going to get anywhere. Also, nutrition and training go hand in hand. If you're not eating enough, you're not going to support your training and you're not going to grow.
Yeah, nutrition has to be progressive, just like training. You know, people think that they find the ultimate diet plan. They'll go online and they'll say, what's the best diet plan for muscle building? And they might see a sample diet plan. And you know what? That might actually work for a little bit of time. But again, it's not progressive. As your body weight changes, as you get stronger, as you build more muscle, your diet has to progress as well. So your diet can never be stagnant if your goal is to continuously build muscle. So you always have to be tracking everything you're doing. You have to be tracking your training and you have to track your nutrition as well.
Element number 3 is patience. You know, gaining muscle is like watching paint dry. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up and be 15 pounds heavier, you know, just like that because you follow the rules to muscle building. You have to really have patience. You know, a lot of people, it's like that meme. Did you ever see that meme where the guy's like digging for the diamonds?
Right.
You know, there's 2 guys and then one guy, he's right there and he gives up and he turns around and walks away, and the other guy's like furiously going at it because he's not giving up and he's going to get there. I mean, it's the same thing with muscle building. You have to have patience and you have to keep doing it every day. Consistency, consistency, consistency. This could be element number 4 actually, is being consistent. You know, you have to be consistent with your training. You got to constantly keep going into the gym and following the guidelines that we give you in the hypertrophy program in order to be successful. You know, you have to have consistency because again, it's like brushing your teeth fitness. If you don't brush your teeth, what happens? Your teeth rot out of your mouth, your teeth smell, your mouth smells. You have to brush your teeth every day, you have to floss. It's the same thing with fitness. You have to do fitness every day in order to be successful. You know, that includes the diet. You know, everybody can go to the gym and work out, but as soon as you leave the gym, you got to make sure the diet's on point.
Yeah, and just to tie those two together with just lack of patience overall is the longer you train, the more you have to pay attention to every little progression that you make. You know, if you're training for a very long period of time, your progress is going to come slower, so you need to pay attention to all those little markers to make sure that you're on the right path. So you have to be tracking everything, and you have to look for signals that, okay, you're on the right path and you're in the right direction. You have to make sure that your training is progressive, that you are seeing strength gains, that your training is getting progressive over time. Even if you're consistent but you're not changing your training over time, you might be just spinning your wheels for a long period of time. So you have to make sure that you are progressive over a long period of time.
Exactly. Your training has to evolve as you evolve. All right, guys, well, those are the 4 major elements needed to gain muscle, and this is why a lot of people can't gain muscle, because they're not sure of those 4 elements. So again, this is Muscle Week in New York Muscle Radio. We're going to be providing you with a ton of other videos. This is only part 1 of 5, so be on the lookout for the remaining 4. If you guys are interested in growing as much muscle as possible and follow the same guidelines that this big guy used to gain 15 pounds in 12 weeks, head on over to newyorkmuscleradio.com/gainmuscle, and that will give you, that's the blueprint to gaining as much muscle as possible.
All right, see you guys tomorrow.